So things are getting very interesting in the gaming scene where Sony is now suing Tencent over the ripoff of Horizon Zero Dawn. So Tencent has made this game and it does look like a ripoff of Horizon Zero Dawn 100%. I mean, I did a trailer reaction to this thing a few months ago, and even in the trailer reaction, I was like, yeah, this thing looks like a ripoff of Horizon Zero Dawn. But I think there's so many different layers to this. I don't have a side on either one of these companies. I do not care regardless, but I do have thoughts on the fact that Sony is suing, especially after we just came after Power World being sued by Nintendo. So if you guys are new to the channel, please do me a big favor, hit that like and subscribe button. So Sony is going ahead and suing Tencent. This is all over Twitter right now. And as you can see by a lot of these, yes, it definitely looks very, very much like a ripoff of Horizon Zero Dawn. And that's not necessarily a good thing whatsoever. Now, what starts to get a little bit murky here is apparently Tencent and Sony had an agreement for Tencent to do from what I hear, this is from all the information I'm gathering, is that Tencent had an agreement with Sony to do a live service version of Horizon Zero Dawn. This makes a lot of sense because we've seen that Sony had like 12 canceled online projects, right? They had a God of War live service, a Twisted Metal live service, Last of Us, Spider-Man, like all their IPs. They had like live service games in development that eventually got canceled. So the fact that Tencent was probably, working with Sony on bringing Horizon Zero Dawn to a live service game, and then whatever happened, negotiations fell through. Sony decided not to go through with it. I'm not entirely sure how that went. Well, Tencent probably felt like, hey, we already have all these assets that we built for this game. What are we going to do about it now? Like, we spent all this time, money, and development on these assets. So let's just go ahead and make this game, make it a live service game. Yes, it looks very much similar to Horizon Zero Dawn. Like I said, I mean, the character models, obviously the Tencent version, the character model actually looks good, and Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't, but that's a discussion for a whole nother day. I'm not getting into that. I'm not opening that can of worms at all. But where do I feel, like where do I lie in this situation? Like what side do I rest on? I actually see both sides of the story. I don't like when major corporations start suing over games that are very similar. We live in a world now where I swear to God, we get like 10 to 15 Soul-like games every single year. I recently just downloaded Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, and I was like, oh, this is another Souls type game. This is another Black Myth Wukong, or another Demon Souls, or another Lies of P. And I was like, man, delete after an hour. Delete after an hour. Like, we live in an industry, or we explore an industry in the gaming world. If you are a gamer and like gaming is your hobby, this industry has always copied one another. Always copied one another. And the fact that Nintendo sued Power World over because Power World did a better version of Pokemon, well, maybe like competition brings out the best of everybody. And I feel like if you start like suing people over mechanics and stuff like that, you're never going to progress in the industry, because what's really awesome is that we get games, and then other companies like, I'm going to take that idea, I'm going to expand upon it and make it better. One would say we wouldn't have the Spider-Man games if it wasn't for the Batman Arkham games. One would also argue we wouldn't have the Batman Arkham games if it wasn't for the Spider-Man Web of Shadow game. Like, it goes full circle. And the fact that we have games like Power World that actually does Pokemon better than what Pokemon does, and there's tons of games like that. Can you imagine if Monster Hunter starts like suing everybody that is a monster hunting type game, or Silent Hill, like Resident Evil, Capcom sues Silent Hill? Like, it gets very, very murky. But what I find funny is the hypocrisy of Sony. The fact that they are so quick to file a lawsuit and sue over this game because, again, similar, like it looks very similar. I'm not gonna lie, right? It looks like if I would show you this trailer and tell you this is Horizon Zero Dawn Part 3, you probably would believe it. Heck, it looks just like it. But where I start to kind of lean toward this isn't right is Sony is known for copying off of everybody. And for them to be the one to sue over plagiarism, it was like, man, you had PlayStation All Stars, which was a ripoff of Smash Brothers. Then you had Foam Stars, which was a ripoff of Splatoon. Astrobot was a ripoff of Mario Odyssey. Killzone was a ripoff of Halo. PlayStation Move was a ripoff of the Nintendo Wii. Like, we can go down the line of how PlayStation just constantly rips off other IPs, but they're perfectly fine with that. But when a game comes along that does Horizon Zero Dawn, and again, this is a live service game. This is going to be like a craft building game and all this stuff. It's not going to be that similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, where that is a single player type game, narrative experience, open world. This game is going to have more crafting, live service elements. Yes, I understand they look similar. That's no denying that. But when we start doing this sort of thing, we're going to get to a point in life where we're not going to progress as the industry. Now, I don't work in the industry. I'm just a fan of the industry. I'm a gamer. I've been gaming since the NES back in the 80s, and I've seen tons of games that copied off of other games. Like, almost every beat 'em up back then was the same exact game, but with different sprites, you know? And it's just like, where do we draw the line at this point? Now, I see Sony's point where, come on, guys. Like, look at this thing. This thing looks look, even the titles and everything. Look, I understand where Sony's coming from. I do. But is this really a fight worth fighting? Right? Is it real? I feel like they're going to have two completely different audiences. And I like the fact that the character model for this new game actually looks like a very attractive female. I mean, we're also getting an Asian development team. So I like the fact that, she looks very attractive. And a lot of the Eastern developers make their women very attractive. One of the arguments from a lot of people was like, oh, why is Aloy gotta look like that? But then you have people that are defenders like, oh, it's post-apocalyptic. You don't want her to have like mascara and eyeliner on. But it's a video game. I'm trying to have fun. I don't care. But yeah, there's different arguments for everybody. But again, I mean, it's a clear ripoff if you start looking at it. And we saw the same thing with Power World. I mean, I don't know how I feel overall. I do think this is a very interesting conversation because if we're going to start suing everybody for everything that looks the same, then I think Nintendo needs to sue Sony for the Smash Brothers stuff. I think they need to sue over Splatoon and Foam Stars. Like you see how that's such a slippery slope? Once you open that Pandora's box, then I mean, you can sit there and really nitpick anything and say the entire video game industry is a copy off of each other. Same thing with the movie industry. I remember when Blair Witch Project came out, every movie afterwards had to be a found footage type movie. I mean, it's just taking a trend and moving forward. Look at where we at now. We had Fortnite, and now everything is a battle royale. We have Warzone and all this stuff, Apex Legend, all because of the Battle Royale of Fortnite and that one other game. I completely forgot the name of it off the top of my head, but you guys know probably which one I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just everything is just working off of the other. And when we're looking at how many Souls-like games we have, I mean, even indie games is like, oh man, this looks like a fun little sprite game. Oh, it's a Souls-like game. Everything is a Souls-like game. So yeah, I don't know, man. I see Sony's point. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely see Sony's point. I mean, if I was the company, I don't know how I would feel personally, but at the same time, I feel like we're getting to a very slippery slope when it comes to this sort of thing, and I don't really know. The problem is, and what gives Sony leverage in this is the fact that Tencent came out and admitted they were working with PlayStation on bringing a Horizon Live Service game. So it's clear they're using assets that they already developed for that game, for this game. How this is going to turn out, I'm not entirely sure. It's going to be very interesting to see how as it moves forward. So anyway, just my thoughts. I don't like when companies start suing other companies. I feel like we need more variety in the video game space. That's just my thought as a gamer. But I want to know what you guys think. Please do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button for all future content here on the channel. And I'm very eager to hear what you have to say in the comments about this topic. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I'm Robert Storms, and thank you and have a good day.